34 counts, hogwatch, rip bozo.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one.
We've talked about Donald Trump for a while. That absolute buffoon, orange, haha, goofball. There's a reason why many people called him Teflon Don, even though it's not like he's gotten away with literally everything. Now, remember, he is a convicted racist for back in the 90s for not renting out homes to black people. He is also a convicted, I can't say that word this early in the video, but it starts with an R word. He did it to a woman in a civil case not too long ago, and he was convicted of defamation. But one thing that set all of these cases apart is that these were civil cases. These weren't criminal cases. All of these were just cases between people that he was civilly liable for. Nothing like a federal case, and he was not a convicted felon, a convicted criminal that did crimes against these states until, as of this recording yesterday, where Donald Trump was found guilty on 34 counts, felony counts of falsifying business records stemming from a payment in 2016. This is actually really hilarious because in many states, especially conservative states, he couldn't even vote for himself up until the Florida, since his residency is in Florida now, in Mar-a-Lago, no longer New York, up until recently, where Florida voters gave back felons the right to vote. If this was a little while earlier, if they hit him with this earlier, he actually wouldn't be able to vote for himself in Florida in the 2024 election. Ron DeSantis has been fighting to make sure felons don't have their right to vote, but as per the law in Florida right now, he can vote. As per the law in Florida right now, thankfully for Florida voters, he could vote for himself, which is incredibly funny. But if he couldn't vote for himself, and he was really close to being on that line, but this case was now. But if you remember, this case is what a lot of people are calling the weakest case against Donald Trump when it comes to all of the cases that are against him, that are stemming from his time in office and before office, and in his business dealings, especially pertaining to when he was in New York running Trump Industries, or whatever that garbage was called, Trump Incorporated, as well as his stolen document cases from the White House after he left office, stemming from Mar-a-Lago. Many people said this was the weakest case because at the end of the day, this is about falsifying business records. It's not like, you know, assaults, right? Sexual style, like he did, like that case, and it was more civil, right? This isn't like the stolen documents cases where it's very possible nuclear documents from our nuclear superpower friends have been stolen and are now floating out somewhere, maybe in the Middle East. Maybe in the hands of like China, Russia, wherever, some other geopolitical enemy, like out there, right? It's not like that, right? It's not like other cases along those lines. So it was really called one of the weakest cases because before Alvin Bragg, the DA for New York, got his hands on it, this was only 1 to 34 misdemeanor counts of falsifying business records. That's a misdemeanor in New York, just so you know. The problem was that Alvin Bragg is a grade A S-tier hater, an S-tier Donald Trump hater who literally went into his bag of tricks like a magician to pull out every single stop, like he was one of those one-man marching band type person, you know, the drum on the back, the cymbals on his head, he's got the accordion in his hands, he's got tambourines on his shoes, just a one-man hating machine doing everything he can to screw over Donald Trump. And he did it in the probably funniest way that I've ever seen possible. But he wanted to upgrade this case to as big as he can, to absolutely throw the, like they say, throw the book at him. This is like if you use the giganto ray and zap the book to be like the size of a skyscraper, then launch it from a cartoonishly large catapult from the freaking moon onto someone's head. It's that level of just absolute hating. He has spent years crafting this case specifically against Donald Trump to make it as hard as possible for him, and to be treated as harshly as possible. Now, everything that I said there is true. Alvin Bragg ran on throwing the book at Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a rich guy who makes it his mission, just like Elon Musk, just like Kanye West, just like other rich and famous dudes out there. He made it his mission, his brand, to be the guy who's able to get out of being sued by using his money and power and influence to be able to affect the criminal justice system in a way that's beneficial to him. And so, yeah, him getting the book thrown at him is very funny, right? But everything that I said there, even when it becomes, even when I admit that it is politically motivated, the fact that they charged him, even CNN, you're going to see conservatives pull this up, but even CNN even came out to say that, yeah, this was a politically motivated thing. Nobody else who wasn't named Donald Trump would be charged this way. I think they're right.
Republicans seem to be uniting behind Trump. Whatever opposition he faced in the primaries has largely melted away. And the trials against him keep him in the spotlight, infuriate his base, who sees him as a martyr, and even may serve to make him the object of some sympathy among people in general who believe that his prosecutors are politically motivated. This happens to be true, in my opinion. I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump.
Now, while that's true that this case would not be brought up against a guy who wasn't named Donald Trump, it doesn't mean that he didn't commit any crimes. That just means that this case was so low level that a lot of people just didn't really care that much about it. But once again, I'm sorry, but if you got a speeding ticket, do you really think, even though that's a pretty low level crime, do you really think that your local city's cops are going to just hand wave a bunch of like 34 speeding tickets, 34 parking tickets that you had, even though they're low level crimes, right? I mean, maybe, probably not though. They're probably going to throw the book at you too to make an example out of you. Probably, right? Doesn't matter if you committed the crime, you committed the crime. And last time I checked, conservatives are really on this, are really on this. Prosecute every crime. Stop letting criminals go. Be tough on crime. Tough on crime. I guess we're tough on crime until the guy who's getting the book thrown at them is too soft to be able to take the heat. That's unfortunate, but he got clipped anyways. And now Donald Trump, at this moment in time, is a convicted felon, the first ever presidential convicted felon, which says a lot more about our rule of law and how it doesn't actually affect everybody equally, more than it says about Donald Trump. I'm going to be honest with you, because Donald Trump is now in a list of presidents of like rapists, murderers, mass murderers, genociders, a dude who dropped 2 bombs on civilians, a dude who dropped 2 atomic bombs on civilians, guys who've carpet bombed entire areas, like the people who have done the war on terror, people who've done the war on drugs, all of this, Bush, Obama, who their actions in the Middle East have led to close to 100 million people by some estimations being either killed or displaced in the Middle East. And Donald Trump is the only guy who's been a convicted felon. I'm just going to say that's very funny. If I was in his position, you don't even understand how mad I would be. I'd be like, me. Do you see them? Me. Me. There's Truman, Reagan, Obama, but both Bushes, Clinton. Me. He's playing. That guy did the Trail of Tears. Me. Me. Come on, man. Very funny stuff. I'm just saying, more should be convicted felons, not less. Not less, but you won't see conservatives saying that before this. That being said, okay, let me do a little explanation for you for how this case came to be and how we got to where we are, okay? You all remember the grab by the pussy tape that made Donald Trump famous back in 2016. That was when he was top of the world. He was polling relatively well against Hillary Clinton, and that clip came out. There was a disturbance in the force, obviously released to harm his campaign because he's a horrible guy, and the idea that he could just dab up women's pussy whenever he wants because he's rich and famous is obviously a really garbage thing to do. As he tried to play that off, somebody who he had an affair with behind his wife's back, named Stormy Daniels, who is an adult film actress. I think you can put that together for yourself, okay? She went to a newspaper called The Inquirer, but her problem was that The Inquirer was actually in Donald Trump's pocket. The head of The Inquirer personally loved Donald Trump. He was a grade A certified card-carrying Trump gagger. He was a Trump sloppy topper. All right, he was absolutely a Trump throater, and he would do anything for that man. He, instead of running the story like a normal newspaper would, decided instead that the best course of action would be to buy the story from Stormy Daniels to be able to kill the story so it wouldn't go out. So he and the Inquirer had the only rights to be able to run the story, and he decided to never run the story to be able to kill it. And then he decided to link up Stormy Daniels with Donald Trump, but this time non-sexually. This time in an illegal business maneuver that we like to call crime. What happened then is that Inquirer reached out to Trump's campaign, and Donald Trump's personal fixer, Michael Cohen, you've heard a lot of him, the guy who's completely turned on Donald Trump, the giga rat. I'm talking buck tooth. He likes to eat cheese. All right, he has a tail. He hides it under his suit. Absolute rat. He's the type of rat that would make 6ix9ine shed a tear. This guy decided to scoop up money from his estate and give it to Stormy Daniels too, and in this illegal term, shut the fuck up. Then he went to his boss, Donald Trump, and said, give me the money to pay this back. Donald Trump took the money from the business, paid back Michael Cohen, and then lied on the business records to say it was just some legal fees and, you know, some business transactions. That's a lie. That wasn't true. That wasn't what happened. After the story came out afterwards, after the catch and kill failed, and when it was made clear that Donald Trump had falsified business records about 34 times, then Alvin Bragg, who ran on throwing Donald Trump either in jail or getting a conviction on Donald Trump on federal charges, decided to jump onto this case. And now this was a dead case. This is a dead case for a long time. The DOJ specifically said that they didn't want to charge Donald Trump, not because he was innocent, but because it would be a hard case to get done. Many people thought this is one of the lowest level cases, not only because it was a misdemeanor, but because it would be really difficult to prove exactly what he did if you wanted to upgrade the case. Alvin Bragg, as the S-tier Donald Trump hater, decided to take on the case and make it as terrible as possible for Donald Trump by leaning on a whole bunch of untested legal theory, which I think is very funny. Yeah, Alvin Bragg on his Kendrick shit. Yeah, does that mean that this case against Donald Trump doesn't mean anything, or that it was illegal to bring up? No, absolutely not. You'll hear a lot of conservatives complain that this was politically motivated, or that nobody else would have had this case brought up against him. But what you're not hearing is that he didn't commit those crimes, which is something that you can't say because we all very much have very clear evidence that he did. With this being said, Alvin Bragg decided to put together his dream team of Trump haters to be able to craft a case against Donald Trump that would lead to his downfall. And they did an okay job. It was like an okay job. It definitely could have been way worse. Things could have ended up way worse for Alvin Bragg, I'm going to be honest, but there was a huge thing that Donald Trump was not expecting. We'll talk about that here in a second. Okay, we'll talk about that here in a second. So one thing you may be wondering is I said that this was a misdemeanor. The falsifying business records are indeed misdemeanors. But here's the problem. Donald Trump is a convicted felon. So how in the world do you get from misdemeanor, 34 counts of misdemeanors, to a convicted felon? And here's what Alvin Bragg did. He was digging deep into New York law, and he found the golden ticket. And what that was the legal theory that that when it comes to falsifying business records, if you then try to falsify those business records specifically to conceal a crime that you were doing, now that gets upgraded into a felony. That is a felony. What crime did Donald Trump commit? Now there's a couple. There can be the legal theory in New York specifically that he was committing a crime to interfere with the election in an illegal way, and that upgraded it to a felony. It could be the fact that he was falsifying business records to falsify business records. So two misdemeanors smashed together now instantly become a double crime felony. That one as well. There are many things that you could lean on. He wrote a couple things, but he did not charge him with another crime. And that's something that Alvin Bragg did that a lot of people don't like, and that is a little shaky. That he got convicted of committing a crime in the course of committing another crime without that other crime being something that he was actually convicted of. which is something that is legal in New York. It is something that you theoretically can do, but it's not something that's actually been tested before. Now it's going to be tested. Good job, Donald Trump. Legal guinea pig. Very interesting stuff. Is that going to hold up in court? I don't really know. Donald Trump's lawyers actually suck doo-doo ass. So the fact that they may not be able to get him out of that is very possible that he may not be able to escape this because his lawyers are so doo-doo ass. That's a legal term. There's a bunch of stuff against this case that a reasonable person can believe is a problem, and it all stems from Allen Bragg stretching this case as far as possible to get to a felony conviction. Now, once again, was he stretching? Absolutely Stretch Armstrong. Was it illegal? Well, Donald Trump's convicted, wasn't he? Now, there are criticisms of these convictions. We talked about some of them, but we can talk about some more here because I think they're really interesting, especially if you want to send this video to somebody else who specifically is wary about Donald Trump's conviction. I want to go over some of these because you'll see a lot of conservatives talking about this who want to completely discredit all this type of stuff, right? So I think it's a little important. So outside of that, you're going to hear people talk about the statute of limitations, okay? Once again, falsifying business records has a statute of limitations in New York of 2 years. And yes, as some of you may know, 2016 is far more than 2 years from right now, okay? So how in the world was Allen Bragg able to bring this case up against Donald Trump if that's the statute of limitations? Remember how I said that if you upgrade it to a felony, remember how I said that you can upgrade this case to a felony if you do it in the course of trying to commit another crime? Well, also the statute of limitations changes once it reaches a felony and now moves to 5 years. But some of you, the more inquisitive type, may know that it's also past 5 years from the statute of limitations. Okay, it's actually been 8 years since 2016. So how in the world is Allen Bragg able to bring up this case? Well, here's the thing. I'm telling you, he was great. He pulled up the floorboards of New York legal theory to be able to catch this guy. And it's the hating is insane. Okay, in New York, the statute of limitations only exists when you're in New York. Okay, so when he decided that he was going to move from Trump Tower to Mar-a-Lago in Florida, the clock stopped. So Allen Bragg argued that since the clock stopped and he spent some years in Florida instead of New York, then the statute of limitations stopped, meaning that he's now able to charge him because the statute of limitations, even though it's been temporally more than 5 years, the amount of time that he's been in New York since 2016 has been less than 5 years. So that's why he's able to charge him. Yeah, technically legal. Yeah, all of Allen Bragg's stuff pertaining to Donald Trump is all technically legal. That's such a weird technicality. Thank you, New York. He's such a hater. It's so funny. He'll do anything against this man. Something else that can be brought up against Allen Bragg's case is really interesting, and it's what I'm going to call the stupidity clause. And now I know it's going to sound a little mean, but I'm going to be completely honest. I'm summarizing it, but here's the thing. Donald Trump in court could have argued that he was too stupid to know that he was committing a crime. And now I know that sounds like a crazy cop-out, but in New York, specifically when it comes to this case, it could have saved him. So basically, what he could have argued is that he had no clue. Well, he could have argued that, you know, I'm not really well known for knowing all the ins and outs of the legal theory. I had no clue that I actually was breaking any laws. And when I was falsifying those business records, I had no intention to break any laws. So you can't upgrade this to a felony because I wasn't even trying to commit another crime. I was just doing my thing, you know? I'm a rich guy, I love fucking hoes, and I pay them off to shut up, and that's just my thing. I was just doing it, you know? I wasn't trying to affect the election. I wasn't trying to conceal other business records. I'm Your Honor, I'm stupid, and I'm not going to lie, that is an actual tangible legal defense that he could have used that his lawyers just decided not to. Another thing, Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is his legal counsel. His job is to talk to Donald Trump and tell him the legality of the things that he's doing and help him out legally. If Michael Cohen says that this is something that I can do, then it's not his fault if something bad happens and it's a crime, it's Michael Cohen's fault, not my fault. That's another thing that he could have argued, but he just didn't. Again, that his lawyer was stupid and not him. That's something that he could have argued to help himself. Your Honor, I'm a little dumb. One last thing. Judge Juan Merchan, the judge in the case, is I'm gonna be honest, a prolific Joe Biden donor. He gave Joe Biden, hold on to your seats, chat, $15 in 2020. And so he could be legally corrupt and also in the pocket of Big Joe. So he might not be somebody who can accurately call this case, because he is a Joe Biden mega donor. He did give an individual contribution of $15 to Joe Biden in 2020. I'm not that smart, Judge. I'm not that smart. When it comes to the other crime outside of the misdemeanors that Alan Bragg is probably going to be using to upgrade this to a felony, the big one that he's going to be using is probably, I'm going to be honest with you, it's probably the election interference one. Because in New York, it is a crime to try to interfere in an election to stop a normal flow of an election to go through. Okay, that is illegal. Now, what grounds did Alan Bragg have to be able to bring that case against Donald Trump? Well, it is Michael Cohen. And that may sound a little shaky, but Michael Cohen was actually convicted of election interference and campaign finance interference in 2018. So if he did it and he's the guy who's doing it, it's very easy to say that the guy who he was working with, to commit that crime, is also culpable for that crime, and so this can be upgraded to a felony without Donald Trump actually being convicted of that crime. And this is the untested legal theory, but it's technically legal. It's technically he doesn't need to be convicted. The jury just has to simply believe that he was committing another crime for this to be upgraded to a felony. Welcome to New York law. So this is the case against Donald Trump's case. And if you've been paying attention, you can probably understand that there seems like there's a lot of outs when it comes to Donald Trump, doesn't it? There are a lot of things that his lawyers could argue to get him out of this situation. And there are a lot of things that his lawyers could argue to get him out of this situation. But there's one problem Donald Trump did not take into account when he was going into this trial. He took into account Judge Juan Merchan's massive $15 donation to Joe Biden. He took into account Judge Juan Merchan's daughter being a Joe Biden gagger. Okay, he brought into account like the fact that everybody in New York doesn't like me, and everybody is so mean to me, and all this type of stuff, right? But he forgot one thing. the fact that he's a dumb fuck. The fact that he is a dumb fuck. He forgot. And that was the critical mistake when it comes to this trial and why he is now a convicted felon, is that he is a dumb fuck. And I'm not being mean, okay? These are the legal terms. I'm only speaking in legal terms. His brain is full of trash, garbage, and poop, and there is no actual gray matter there. Because if you remember, what Donald Trump cares about when it comes to a lawyer is somebody who is a grade A gagger, a throat goat, and not a actual legal professional. He has the worst track record with lawyers since he's become president, and it has actually actively ruined his life. He is now a convicted civil rapist. He has all of these cases against him, and all of his lawyers are always garbage, because what he cares about is how well they suck and not how well they actually conduct law. Recently, mind you, another one of Trump's lawyers, this makes a couple, another one of Trump's lawyers had their law license removed. Jenna Ellis, this is one of his lawyers in the defamation and civil R-word case, okay, a little while ago. And also his lawyer, when it comes to the election interference lawsuits, the election fraud lawsuits back in 2020, she has lost her law license because of she actively tried to overturn the election and tried to help other people overturn the election for Donald Trump. She was so big of a Trump gagger. Okay, I don't even have to tell you about all the other peoples, especially during 2020 in Georgia, who lost their law license because of that. Release the Kraken. People remember that. If you remember that, give me a little octopus emote in the comment section, okay? Give me a little octopus if you remember Release the Kraken. Absolute depravity. So many of his lawyers have lost their law license, all right? Remember, there are so many cases where he's specifically come up and be like, oh, I can't believe the judge wouldn't let me do this, and it's actually his lawyer's fault. Well, this happened again, too. Take a listen to this.
Vacation of business records. And I said, what else are you going to call it? What else are you going to call it? Now, I would have testified. I wanted to testify. The theory is you never testify, because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify, because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong, and then they sue you for perjury. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to. But the judge allowed them to go into everything that I was ever involved in.
Yeah, so basically what he's saying, that I would have totally testified if that little thing called perjury wasn't a thing. If I wouldn't have gotten hit for perjury, I totally would have testified, but I'm not going to testify. All right. He told court that he actually wasn't going to testify, and now he's like, I definitely totally did want to testify. I totally wanted to testify. You don't even understand how much testifying I would have absolutely done. It would have been so crazy. So crazy. Oh man. Oh. On top of this, his lawyers actually did such a horrible job that it actually left other legal scholars flabbergasted while they were watching the case. Taking a listen to this. Team Trump has presented one of the most ill-conceived, self-destructive defenses I have seen in decades of trying to analyze criminal cases, a legal scholar said. Rather than concentrating on refuting the weakest elements of the government's case, Trump's attorneys chose a contest of obvious true claims that had no actual bearing on his innocence. For example, they sought to disprove the prosecution's claim that Trump had engaged in an affair with Stormy Daniels, which subsequently reimbursed Cohen for buying her silence. Yet, neither of those actions are actually illegal. So, both of the things that they spent actual time arguing in court didn't happen. They're not even material to the case. They're not even illegal. He wasn't he wasn't put in court for fucking porn stars. He was in court for falsifying business records. No matter what he was falsifying those business records for is not material to the case. They weren't, and his lawyers were just arguing stuff that didn't matter. Why challenge that? Because his lawyers are stupid. They actually don't know what they're doing. It was such a massive waste of time. It was a massive waste of time. By fighting those hopeless battles, Trump's team gave the jury the impression that they were legally relevant. Put simply, the former president prioritized brand management and political messaging above legal strategy. In the face of Trump's bizarre and disoriented defense, an unbiased jury could easily have arrived at a guilty verdict. And this is something that you'll see a lot of conservative commentators talk about, is that, oh, the jury came to a verdict so quickly, it was less than 24 hours, it must have been totally a hit job. No, it's because he had no defense. I wish I was being hyperbolic, but I just can't. He had no defense. He had no defense. This case was going on for 5 weeks and he had no defense. His lawyers don't. I genuinely believe that if you told me that they were just Trump fans who were his like top single party donors, and he put all their names on a big comical like colorful wheel and spun them and then threw a dart, and whoever did it he was gonna put in the suit and put in the court to defend him, I'm gonna be honest with you, I believe it with how bad of a job these guys did and how horrible of a job these guys did. I mean, take this, okay? So this is Blanche. Blanche is Donald Trump's head attorney when it comes to his defense team. He was asked by CNN, "Hey guys, didn't you have a bunch of witnesses that you could have brought up to the stand to be able to defend your case that would have made it a whole lot easier for you guys to be able to, poke holes in the government's position?" And this was his response.
When he was leaving, one thing he brought up were the witnesses who were not called. And he was saying that there could have been witnesses that would have helped make the case. We never saw Keith Schiller, Alan Weisselberg, some key figures here who got brought up a lot. Why didn't the defense call any of these witnesses?
Well, because we happen to live in America and we don't have the burden of proof. And so that's not the point. That's a question that is a loaded question that should not be asked of a defense attorney or a defendant. The question that we asked the jury, and they ultimately obviously got passed, is why the prosecution didn't call those witnesses, right?
Well, we live in America. If I get to look at my lawyer, dog, I'm going to jail. Oh, can you even imagine Donald Trump watching this on CNN? He's actually saying, "Look at my lawyer, dog, I'm going to jail." And like that's a joke, but this is the reality that Donald Trump actually lives in. Look at my lawyer, dog, I'm going to jail. Is he drunk? No, this is just how he acts. This is literally just how he acts. Okay, so instead of bringing up witnesses in the defense's defense to be able to prove his client's innocence, he just didn't want to bring anybody up because he wanted all of the witnesses to be brought up by the prosecution so they can control the entire case, and he'll just literally play defense the entire time. Like when he said that he was going to be on the defense team, he was like, "Okay, give me your best shot." He just went into court like that and thought that, yeah, I don't have to do anything. Like, it's their job. Like, if that's the point, then what's the point of you being a defense attorney? Why are there defense attorneys? If the only person who has to do anything in court is the prosecution, then why the fuck are you there? Right? Like, if there's no defense, if like it's all the prosecute, it's only if the prosecution does a good job, he goes to jail. If he doesn't do a good job, he goes free, and that's just how it works. We don't have to bring up any witnesses. Then why would that work? Here's the real thing. Okay? Here's the real answer. The real answer. 1, the lawyer is dumb as fuck. Okay? And 2, every single witness that he could have brought up would probably end up 10 times worse for Donald Trump than he would ever wanted. Okay? There's no one that you could bring up on Donald Trump's side that would be beneficial for the defense that wouldn't be probably twice as beneficial for the prosecution, because Donald Trump committed these crimes. We all know that he committed these crimes. Okay? We all know that he committed these crimes. It's just absolutely horrible. But actually, it didn't start there. I want to go over this Daily Beast article because it actually goes over some more important stuff that is just silly. This guy is an actual clown, okay? Actual genuine clown. This is Blanche right here. This is Donald Trump like, bro, you're fucking my shit up, dog. What the hell's going on, man? Starting with the opening statement. I'm not sure if you guys have ever kept up with like law or anything, but Blanche actually got an objection, a sustained objection thrown at him in his opening statement. This is almost unheard of, okay? Because you can say just about whatever you want in your opening statement, okay? You can say that my client is going to go to the moon and back in your opening statement. An opening statement in court is literally just you promising what the jury is going to see. That's it. That's all it is what the jury is going to see, what you promised to show the jury. He got an objection in his opening statement, and he's so bad at law that it was actually sustained. Todd Blanche, who managed to draw objections that were sustained by Juan Merchan in defense, stumbled out of the gate and just kept stumbling. It's incredibly rare for that to happen. Blanche managed to blunder this unusual problem only because he apparently tried to raise points such as advice of counsel's defense, which the judge had already rejected. Cross-examination of both counsel Todd Blanche and Susan Nichols then only worsened matters, each in their own way, and managed to bolster the prosecution's case rather than weaken it. Every time they opened their mouth, the prosecution got another thing to hit Trump on. It was horrible. It was genuinely horrible. So this is Blanche, the guy that we just saw, okay? Instead of using his questions in cross-examination to be able to surgically cut through the credibility of Michael Cohen, who once again is convicted of multiple crimes and of stealing from Donald Trump, he couldn't even make this guy look bad, okay? He couldn't even make this guy look bad. Instead of raising doubts about the particular aspects of the testimony, Blanche chose to apparently channel his inner Trump by literally yelling "liar" when Michael Cohen answered some of his questions. He actually thinks he's on TV. He thinks he's in a TV show. To prepare for this case, he actually played a bunch of Phoenix Wright. You a liar. He actually played a bunch of Phoenix Wright actual main character syndrome. You're so right. This is it. Yeah, this lawyer isn't lawyering. Phoenix wrong. He stood up from the bench and the Judge Merchan was like, "What's going on? Do you have something to say?" He showed his lawyer badge. Yes, that's your lawyer badge. Please sit down. Judge, my ID. Blanche's closing arguments continued his ranting about Cohen's honesty, coming up with terms like gloat. He called Michael Cohen the gloat, greatest liar of all time. As you see, the kids would call him the gloat, greatest liar of all time. My jury. What up, my jury? Don't listen to this gloat. Do not listen to this gloat. Even the female lawyer there didn't do a good job either. She also completely stumbled this entire time and spent her time in cross-examination against Stormy Daniels, basically calling her a whore the entire time. Now, if you understand, okay, the gender relations in this country, usually in sex crimes cases, where you have to cross-examine a woman, you usually have a female lawyer do it because we all know the implications, as unfortunate as it is, the implications of a man questioning a woman when it comes to the troubles that she's gone through, especially when it comes to assault, sexual side. So you usually have a woman do that. And when you question and when you're on cross-examination with a female witness, you usually have a woman do that too, to help kind of cut through that kind of ease when it comes to the jurors just looking at what's going on. That's just how this works, unfortunately. So they had their female lawyer do it, but she basically
so
called
there
Stormy
shouldn't be too
Daniels a
much to
whore the
eat
entire
for her.
time, erasing all the credibility she could have gotten when all like the woman cred she could have gotten when questioning Stormy Daniels, making it even worse for them every time they open their mouth. And she didn't get anything of value out of Stormy Daniels either. Donald Trump's lawyers are genuinely the dumbest fucks I've ever seen. It always blows my mind how he's able to find such horrible lawyers. It's genuinely shocking to me how he can find lawyers that are so bad. In New York, dude. Besides filming rats dragging pizza slices into their holes, New Yorkers' second favorite pastime is suing people. It's like New York City is literally like lawyer mecca. Like, I'm pretty sure lawyers across the world have like a once in a lifetime free trip to New York to go have some fun. You know, it is lawyer mecca. Every lawyer wants to be a part of the New York bar, at least in some point, and he still can't find a good enough lawyer to defend him. It's truly remarkable, groundbreaking incompetence coming from the Trump administration. It really is. And it actually got even worse. Trump argues judge is preventing him from using defense his own lawyers declined to use. Remember when his lawyers in the in the document case, remember when Donald Trump complained that he didn't have a jury trial in the stolen documents cases from Washington and Mar-a-Lago, and people brought up the document that the lawyer signed, and they didn't check the box for trial lawyer, and they didn't check the box for criminal trial by jury. Like, it was literally a checkbox that all they had to do was check. They actually went onto TV and said, oh, it's not just a checkbox, and it was literally a checkbox. It was right there. Does your client want a jury trial? Yes or no? They didn't check it. Oh, my bad. That wasn't even a no. There was like, do you want a jury trial? Check for yes, and they didn't check it. They just skipped past it. And then Donald Trump was like, I can't believe I don't have a jury. And his lawyers were like, Trump claimed on Wednesday that he's being prevented from mounting an advice counsel defense. Okay, this is what I talked about earlier when I said that his counsel was too stupid, and that's why he can't be held liable for committing this felony, because Michael Cohen didn't tell him that this was actually illegal, that what he was doing was actually going to be illegal. He said that he wasn't able to make that defense, and his own lawyers told the court that he wasn't going to be making that defense before the trial even started. A formal advice of counsel defense would enable the president to argue that he was acting reasonably based on what his lawyers were telling him, and his lawyers didn't tell him that he could do that before the trial happened. I don't know how much more I can make it clear to you that this guy is just a definite, just grade A dumb fuck, but that's what I have to show you right now. This is hilarious. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it could have gotten any worse for Donald Trump. He really could have been able to get himself out of the situation, but his lawyers too dumb, his ass too stupid, his crimes too vast. He's a convicted felon. And will this stick in court? I don't really know when it comes to appeal. He obviously wants to appeal it. He's obviously going to appeal it. That's not surprising. That shouldn't surprise anyone. Obviously all the maggots are in an absolute frenzy over this, but what they're going to tell you a whole bunch of things, but what they're not going to tell you is that Donald Trump didn't commit those crimes, because he absolutely did. And it's very funny. No matter how big of a hater the prosecutor is, you're going to see some people like, they were trying to do everything to prosecute him. Oh my gosh, prosecutor wants their defendant to go into jail. More at 11. More at 11. More at 11. Teflon Don. Somebody was using a metal fork. We're all getting Teflon poisoning. You hate to see it. What a guy. They ain't sending their best. They ain't making lawyers like they used to, I will say. Yeah, maybe I will say Trump lawyers are he was because Donald Trump and friends were like, oh yeah, like the freaking the judge and everybody is on the Democrat payroll. Dude, I think his own lawyers have to be on the Democrat payroll, right? They're the guys who have to be on the real Democrat payroll. Those are the guys who are actually, he's doing more work to put Donald Trump in jail than Joe Biden.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Reacteria. So a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine sent me a clip from the Joe Rogan Experience, arguably one of the podcasts of all time, in which Joe Rogan was interviewing the living, breathing dog whistle known as Tucker Carlson. And they sent it because somewhere in the middle of that 3-hour-long nightmare of an interview, Joe Rogan makes an offhand comment about evolution, and Tucker Carlson seizes the opportunity to interject his objections about the theory. You've heard him deny climate change, now let's hear him deny primate change. That's awful. I can't put that in there. Now, I did notice that a couple of my friends have already made videos about this interview as well, but I made it a point not to watch their videos before making my own because I felt like that would be cheating. But I encourage you to go check those videos out so you can hear more people who actually know what they're talking about discuss the problems with Tucker's disillusionment with evolution. But before we get into it, I'd like to take a second to thank my patrons on Patreon. They're the reason why I'm able to afford things like food and utility bills while also working 30 hours a day, 10 days a week on all of the insane projects that I've taken on lately. Projects like Roll for Initiative, where my friends and I played over 30 hours of Tales of the Valiant.
The guy next. I'm down for whatever. Just get him out of here.
Yo, he went a little nutty with it, my boy. Hey, yo, that's crazy. But anyway, let's get to Judge Janine.
Or does he not pay politically as that appeals process, plays out, and he now calls to the American people to deliver their own verdict in November?
Well, I think that the American people will be struck by this, as we are all struck by it, in different ways. I, as a former prosecutor and a judge who knows the state courts and knows the state law, I know that this is riddled with reversible error. I know that there was no basis to charge this crime, this alleged crime, and to resurrect dead misdemeanors based upon non-unanimous federal violations of the election law or of the tax law. So, I mean, you've got that, but there's also a gut punch to the criminal justice system in the United States. People realize we are no longer safe anymore, and it's because of the progressive left agenda of making sure that we don't keep people in jail. And, they're out there with 33 arrests, but, they're still assaulting people or violently attacking people down the street here. But now we've got...
I like that the argument literally is like, dude, what are you doing? You're supposed to only arrest poor people. You can't arrest rich people.
One of the most famous...
Like, everyone's argument, all the Republicans that are defending Donald Trump's, their arguments are reduced to, hello, you're not supposed to arrest powerful people, idiot. That's not what the system is for, idiot. This is no different than when maybe Lindsey Graham or maybe another Republican, we don't know who, or a Democrat, we don't know who, told ICC prosecutor Kareem Khan, hello, the International Criminal Court is for thugs. It's for African warlords and thugs like Putin, not for Israeli or American officials. What are you saying?
Individuals in the world, a former president of the United States who can be taken down by a George Soros-funded prosecutor on a crime that doesn't exist, where not one person put his finger anywhere near that bookkeeping, and now they're going to return a verdict and say, oh, he's guilty, he's definitely guilty. This is a jury pool made out of 85 to 90% of the people are anti-Trump, not pro-anybody, anti-Trump. That's the jury pool. We knew it. We have a judge who wasn't picked out of the wheel or out of the drum, as all of us judges are. And he was a judge who was selected, not just for the Trump organization, not just for the this case, but also for the another case that involves the who was the guy who was the Bannon case as well. This is an anti-Trump judge, an anti-Trump prosecutor. America is going to respond to this. This is a gut punch. We want to see politicians fight. We don't want to see what they do in third world countries, to have one side start indicting and jailing the other side. This is not American. This is not who we are. And to see this happen.
There's nothing funnier than making this argument on behalf of Donald Trump, who literally ran on arresting Hillary Rodham Clinton. Lock her up was one of the more popular chants. The notion that, like, we don't do that in America, like this kind of moralistic posturing is so funny. Where are the law and order lovers and defenders? Where are the people that always love saying, don't do the crime if you can't do the time? Which, by the way, no time will be given to him regardless. But like, what happened? I thought we were a nation of law and order. What happened? Is it really impossible for him to get time? It would be strange if he got time. It'd be awesome, but it would be crazy if he got any time off of this.
Happened before our eyes when we know that this is not legitimate, when a defendant was not advised of the crimes that he was charged with. They don't even know what the crimes are until we get to the charge to the jury, as if the prosecution and the judge, with a wink and a nod, said, hey, I'll give you that old accomplice testimony. Even though we didn't charge Donald Trump with aiding and abetting anyone else, I'll throw it in as a matter of law. He's an accomplice. And I'll throw in those federal election violations. So they'll have to say, yeah, Donald Trump must have done it too. And I'll throw in a hooker and a guy who's a serial perjurer. This is lunacy. And I think that any red-blooded American who sees this is going to understand this isn't what we do to our political.
As crazy as that, I'll throw in a hooker and a guy who's a serial perjurer. It's like, bro, those are the people Trump chose to associate with and literally paid to associate with. What are you talking about? Like, we're acting like these people were in the periphery, totally unrelated to Donald Trump, and he just happened to be in the vicinity and like caught us straight. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, he paid the hook and paid them to perjure. What are we talking about?
Okay, if they convict him,
Holy, he was found guilty. Holy, mother, you suck. You suck. There is no justice.
guilty.
God, I love the Republicans. Come on, dude. There's such content. I love Donald Trump. You got a problem with that? Gays for Trump.
Not guilty. He's not guilty. You piece of that. What a con. He shouldn't die. Your mother.
They're all dead. Your kids.
I'm serious when I say this. I think Trump supporters in big cities that are like otherwise Democratic strongholds are literally visibly more insane than like the lifelong Republican that lives in some rural ass town in Texas. Not even a question. Like, these guys are almost always so much more nutty. And I think a big part of the problem for the Republican Party is that they pay too much attention to these freaks and like literally cause a lot of the quote unquote normal Republicans who don't pay attention to whatever's going on, and they just kind of like vote for still racist reasons or tax reasons or whatever. Like, those are the guys who are just like, what's going on? This is like a little bit too much.
They're all your and they're all
Found guilty. Mother.
dead.
Yeah. Mother. There's no justice in this country. Corruption. It's all corruption. I have a message for you. You won the con. Won the con. I'm pissed. Fucking Joe Biden.
All I know is this.
Yeah.
Guilty on a whole nother animal and a whole new way.
It's a lynching. It's a lynching. It's political interference. It's over. There's no justice in this
How do you feel?
Corruption. Tell me your reaction.
I'm shocked. I don't want to believe it. That's unbelievable.
What do you think about the verdict?
They're doing this to
Corruption,
Donald Trump
Judge
means that they
Fetterman.
could do this to all of us.
1776, baby.
No,
you're not. Calm down.
No, I'm not going to calm down.
And the people who are on the
Get
ground,
down.
The only man that ever stood up for me in my life,
Through and through.
Donald Trump.
Oh my God, he's crying. Oh my God, he's crying. Bro, what? He's crying. Bro, he's shedding real tears for Trump. That's awesome. That's fire. That's, oh God, that's so good. Oh, that feels awesome to see.
Yo, that just won the election, I'll tell you that much. Joe Biden.
How can people become this mentally ill? That's crazy. Like, I don't know what you do with this guy. You can't save this guy. And of course, he's live streaming it too and filming it.
Not guilty.
I hope the country doesn't burn down.
Not guilty.
I hope that we can find a way to love each other and to make right this prostitution.
Bro, talking about loving each other in the country while he's shedding tears for Donald Trump.
Go yourself and your mother.
is one of us. He's one of us. And now they have only made the poll numbers go higher. I guarantee that's what you're going to see coming next. The polls are going up. Donald Trump is going to win even harder. They're going to have to bring in...
So why are you guys mad then? You should be excited, right? See, now this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's like you should be excited then that the polls are definitely going to go up. Why are you mad?
Michelle Obama, they're going to have to bring in Michelle Obama, Big Mike, in August to try and fix things. But that's not going to work either. The numbers are going to go so high for Trump right now that it's over for Biden. It's over for the Democrats.
You, Judge Juan, you. There is no justice in this country. We want a democracy. This is America. You railroaded this man. He committed no crimes. You. I'm mad as hell, as they say. I'm mad as hell. Let's take to the streets. Let's take to the streets. I'm pissed. I'm pissed. Let's
But
take
you
to the
have.
fucking streets. Good. Let's block traffic.
Someone said you are.
Corruption in this country. They're convicted an innocent man. He committed no crimes.
Congratulations, Trump just won the election.
What do you think, Bill?
I think it's time for dancing in the streets. Dancing in the streets.
Him. Trump every day. The guy next. I'm down for whatever. Just get him out of here.
Meanwhile, a show of support for Trump here in South Florida. Dozens gathering.
Yo, he went a little nutty with it, my boy. Hey, yo. Yo, that's crazy.
And Local 10's Christian De La Rosa live now with this part of our team coverage tonight. Christian.
These were people who felt compelled, obligated to be as close as they could to Mar-a-Lago, even if the former president wasn't here to show their support, and also share why they think today's verdict could in fact bolster Trump in November.
Bro, these people are so crazy. They went to Mar-a-Lago. Like, they have like a religious affiliation with Trump.
Trump 24, let's go, blow those horns.
We have to support our president.
They're making it, they're acting like they're doing like a pilgrimage to Mecca or some shit, bro. This is their Hajj.
Support for the man they call their president.
I feel like it's a sad day for America.
And voicing their discontent with his guilty verdict.
We thought that maybe there was some hope.
I didn't think they were going to get him on all 34 counts, which kind of tells you what's going on in New York.
This is completely political. Anybody who cannot see that, they have been brainwashed by this media.
Steps away from Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago, supporters like Leona Mangan.
I went to January the 6th. Give me liberty or give me death. Even Mother Teresa could not get out from under that.
Like titanium, they're convinced hush money payments charges against the former president were an abuse of power to begin with.
I don't think he did anything wrong.
They're also convinced Trump will eventually come out victorious.
Surely these things will all be overturned.
And as far as the race for president,
I don't think it's going to help him or hurt him. Not at all. I think the independents, even if you're on the fence, have already made up their mind and they can...
Across the street, a much smaller number of people celebrate.
You know, if you diddle a porn star and hush money payments get tucked away and you fill out your books illegally, then you will go to jail.
And even with just a handful of counter-protesters across the street, I can tell you things remain peaceful. We're live right outside Mar-a-Lago tonight. I'm Christian De La Rosa, Local 10 News.
And our team coverage continues now with Local 10's Alex Finney live outside Versailles, where another crowd of supporters rallied for Trump. Alex.
Yes, Calvin, very, very spirited crowd that was here for several hours today. As we know, a lot of people were here as that verdict came down. Of course, you have a lot of people on both sides with very strong opinions. Sounding off for former President Donald Trump.
I didn't think it was going to happen.
A verdict that many we spoke with said came down quicker than expected.
I mean, it was so fast. I'm surprised they reached a verdict.
People gathered outside of Versailles in Little Havana.
It doesn't seem to be fair that they charge him with a felony.
Justice system prevailed.
All of this coming soon after a Manhattan jury found the former president guilty on all 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in his New York hush money criminal trial. A felony conviction of a former president unprecedented.
His lawyer was the one who did it.
This man giving his thoughts on the news.
I hope he can run for president. I hope he can become president because, you know, Trump's who we want in there.
And still a lot to be seen now at this hour here, a little after 11 p.m. A lot of people have gone home for tonight. Those honks have officially started to die down a bit. But again, we have a lot coming up in the next few days, weeks, and months ahead. Stay tuned. For now, this is the very latest. We are live in South Florida, well, in Little Havana, that is. Alex Finney, Local 10 News.
Trump himself was greeted by supporters outside Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue.
And that is where we find CBS 2's Dave Carlin. Dave, what is the reaction there tonight?
Well, this place so busy with all of his comings and goings. Right now, he is inside. It began, of course, him going to court, then him coming back from court. Then around dinner time, he went out again and came back in. You'll see the video right now. Now, all the while, people have been here to greet him. After the sun went down, some staunch Trump supporters kept their flags waving, predicting another Trump presidency.
I wanted he be here because I think somebody has to stand up and say, this is invalid. You can't do this kind of law. This destroys American jurisprudence.
The message is it's going to backfire on the Democrats. It's going to backfire on Sleepy Joe. It's going to backfire on Albert Bragg, and Trump is going to win. And I will vote for him for the third time, even if he's in jail.
She's wearing an NYPD hat with the Bring Our Hostages Home pin on it. You know she's a cop.
Jail.
Earlier, Chopper 2 was over Fifth Avenue and Trump Tower when the crowd was much larger, with a mix of political persuasions. Friction was minimal.
That took a lot of courage for that jury to come back with that kind of a charge against him. I just think it's amazing.
I think he's going to make America great again.
Around 6:15 p.m., Donald Trump entered with a wave to the crowd. He did not stay long and was on the move again, only to return at 9:25. He was also the talk of nearby Times Square.
It shouldn't matter who you are or what you do. If you do the crime, you deserve what's coming to you. It's insane. That's never happened before in history. So this is something that we're living, and I don't even know how this is going to turn out. I'm shocked.
There is a Trump news conference Friday morning set for 11 a.m. right here.
This guy kind of looks like Julian Assange. Omni Valor. I don't know what you're talking about. Calm down, okay? And perhaps take your medication. What am I supposed to do, man? Please help me. I've apologized a million times. I'm sorry if I've hurt others. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't even know what you did. No one is mad at you. Hegemonic World Peace, you got a lot of viewers that are mentally ill. No shit, I'm on Twitch. And secondly, yeah, says you. But yeah, Omni Valor, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Live in front of Trump Tower, Dave Carlin, CBS 2 News.
All right, Dave, no shortage of opinions tonight. And after the verdict, Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka, took to social media. She posted a childhood photo of herself sitting on her dad's lap with the words, "I love you." She did not attend the trial.
New York Attorney General Letitia James is speaking out about the verdict. She issued a statement saying, quote, "No one is above the law." You may recall the AG's office did win a civil fraud lawsuit against Donald Trump and the Trump Organization earlier this year.
Rudy Giuliani had this reaction tonight.
A very sad day for America. A very, very sad day for anyone who values justice and has lived by it. I hope this gets reversed very, very quickly.
The former mayor and Trump attorney has faced his own legal troubles. Last month, Giuliani was indicted on felony charges related to alleged efforts to overturn President Biden's 2020 win in Arizona. And last year, he also lost a defamation lawsuit regarding his false claims about 2 election workers in Georgia.
And outside the courthouse, voters on both sides of the political spectrum made their voices heard. A small but vocal group of anti-Trump protesters gathered in Lower Manhattan after that historic verdict came down. Just down the block, a small pro-Trump group awaited for the arrival of the former president's motorcade.
I believe, quite honestly, it's quite the clown show. But the American people aren't going to fall for it. This will just make Trump stronger.
And we're really thankful that the New York jury was fair and listened and asked questions and came back with 34 counts guilty.
The protests were largely peaceful, and there were no reports of any arrests.
On Long Island tonight, people are also reacting to the verdict.
CBS 2's Lori Bordenero went to Floral Park in Nassau County, and she has more on what they had to say.
We've been talking to a lot of people here, and some people say justice has been served. Others say this is just a political ploy to keep Donald Trump from becoming president. But regardless of political affiliation, people here seem to be genuinely surprised Trump was found guilty on all 34 counts. A few people we spoke with were shocked that he is still allowed to run for president. This is a county where more than 44% voted for Trump in the last election. Trump supporters don't think this verdict will hurt his chances at all come November.
Are you surprised? I'm surprised by the 34 counts, but I'm not like I do love that in America, even if you're in jail, you can still run for president and even win technically. I think that's dope. I'm not even joking about that. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not doing the dry sarcasm. I think it's an unironically good thing that you can run for president from prison as a convicted felon, and you should be able to vote as a convicted felon and vote from prison as well. So I think it's crazy that we can do one thing but not the other. And no, Trump is allowed to vote for himself, because in the state of Florida, if you get convicted, if you're a convicted felon from another state, the state of Florida says normally if you were arrested here with a felony, you wouldn't be able to vote. But because you were arrested and convicted in the state of New York, it depends on what their laws are. And in the state of New York, felons can vote.
November, but some anti-Trumpers would like to see the former president out of the spotlight.
He's a crooked guy. He tells lies, and he doesn't really care about anybody else for himself.
I think that he should have to be removed as the candidate. I don't think he should be allowed to run. He's involved in so many cases, and it's such a distraction. And the only reason he's running is to stay out of jail.
My main problem is, what's the crime?
I'm going to vote for him even more if he runs, because I think it's terrible what they did when there's plenty of other presidents that have done terrible things.
Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman calling the verdict a big miscarriage of justice and saying there was no basis for this conviction. In Floral Park, Lori Bordenero, CBS 2 News.
I can't believe the hoax, this sham, this absolute injustice justice system. DA Bragg and the judge should be ashamed of themselves. This isn't just ridiculous. This actually erodes the confidence that Americans have in the justice system. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. But good news is coming. DA Bragg, hear me clearly. You cannot silence the American people. You cannot stop us from voting for change. Joe Biden's injustice, Joe Biden's two-tier injustice system, weaponizing the justice system of the United States of America against a political opponent, un-American. Joe Biden, you're fired. We the people stand with Donald Trump.
He hit him with a "you're fired." God, it's laughable. It's insane that a black man is saying that there's a two-tier criminal justice system, which is true, except he's saying it about a two-tier criminal justice system for an incredibly powerful, incredibly wealthy former president. That is so unimaginable, dude. You ask that dumb about white supremacy in the criminal justice system, and it's like, oh, that doesn't exist. Our institutions are infallible and perfectly good and designed well. I give this dick-sucking audition a 9 out of 11. People cheering the Trump conviction don't own Bitcoin. What?
My mind was not made up before, but it is definitely made up now.
Yeah, right.
And I will definitely be voting for Donald Trump.
I do not believe his mind was not made up before. Like, who the f be like, you know, I'm iffy on that Trump guy, but now that I know that a jury of his peers convicted him, like found him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, that he definitely paid hush money to a porn star in an effort to make sure that people did not know that he had sex with a porn star in the lead up to an election, and then falsely documented the payments as regular legal retainers. That is when I was like, this is my guy.
Because the weaponization of the legal system, it is so blatant, and this corruption cannot stand. Whether I like Donald Trump or not, which I don't, I feel that it is essential that I vote for him, because I must stand against the lawfare that was put on display by the Democratic Party, Alvin Bragg, all of these folks. And it's a shame, because I'm a New Yorker. I live here in New York. And as a black man who...
Bro, I love how stupid Americans are. Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Lives in the United States and in New York, I know what it's like to have the legal system used against you, specifically targeting you. So, I mean, bro, at the end of the day, to expect us to just sit back and watch this happen and just rock.
Bro, that's how you know he's lying about like being iffy on Trump. He did the quintessential black Republican move. He did the classic black Republican move. Black conservatives love saying, as a black man, I've experienced racism, and what the racism that Trump is experiencing right now is worse than that. Or it's just like that. Literally, it's classic.
Ride with it like it's okay, like we're stupid and we don't see what's going on. That's crazy. Because if you can do something like this to a former president of the United States, just imagine, people, imagine what they can do to us. I'm sorry, but I'm all in. Trump 2024.
Americans are stupid. One thing that both parties get right. Yeah. I never voted for Trump before, but I certainly will be voting for him now. The Democrats are a clear and present danger to truth. Stay-at-home dad, iconoclast, intellectual, stoner, yogi, meat eater, runner, beer drinker, unvaxxed. My freedom protects you. Your freedom protects me. The Democrats are a clear and present danger to true justice in the American way. They must be defeated. MAGA. I'm in the same boat. Never voted for him, but will now. But man, oh man, I hope your vote is reliable, because the bridges you just burned are never getting rebuilt. Good luck, brother. Dude, Twitter is so unimaginably right-wing. Like, Twitter has become the most right-wing, one of the most right-wing platforms.
I can research a bunch of Stormy Daniels stuff, and boy, are my arms tired. Let's go to court.
It's so awesome that they have no like valid grievances with policy ever. You notice how they don't have any policy opinions at all? Like, this entire thing is held together for many people on both sides, by the way. I'm not even just saying this is just about the Democrats or just about the Republicans. For so many American voters, it isn't about policy at all. It's about having their team win, and it's about their own like personal petty grievances being addressed. That's the reason why they're so mad at Robert De Niro. Like, Robert De Niro comes out and he's like, yeah, Donald Trump, he's a charlatan or whatever. And they're like, yeah, Robert De Niro, I will kill you. It's like, bro, calm down. Like, why are you so mad? They're identical to, in a way, they're identical to like Divorcelli fans who will find out that someone has wronged their intellectual daddy and will go there and fight like with so much animosity and so much vitriol. And it's like, what is it to you, man? Why are you this mad? It's because they're in a cult. Like, this is not like, oh, I really want Trump because of, I don't know, the tax cuts that are coming for me, right? And these guys want to stop Trump because of the tax cuts. They're like, no, I love Trump. And I have so much rage in my heart that I will literally fight your battles for you, Mr. Trump, sir. I will now make it my life's mission to destroy Robert De Niro. Why? Because Robert De Niro said Trump sucks. Get a life, man. What is wrong with your brain? Spend it on some hobbies, man.
Hey, De Niro, where's your ass now? Right? Where's your ass now? Right?
Like, he is so mentally ill. This guy's faking it for Jimmy Kimmel, I guess, but like, he's so mentally ill, dude. He's like a chatter who thinks I'm speaking directly to him through secret messages or some shit. You know what I mean? It's like Robert De Niro is not personally aware of your existence, man. Calm down, dude. Oh my God, every chatter is like, you're talking to me though, right? I'm not Delulu. The bit right here is this guy portraying himself as a fake Trump supporter to rile up the actual Trump supporters. The problem is the bit actually works really well because the actual Trump supporters are content.
No!
A lot of Trump supporters out here that you can hear.
Oh my God! Yo, that's awesome. Okay.